Okay, so here we are. We kind of got to figure out exactly how to configure this in a way that makes sense. Um, so maybe I should add a little bit more sky in because the same, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I think I pushed shift. Well, who knows what I pushed. So W, I don't want to like, I don't know. I kind of want the darkness of the background of the mountains to be helping out with the contrast from the font. So maybe I don't want to move that down. And I was almost wondering if this couldn't be on 3 lines so that I can make this bigger. Because there is technically space. So let's see, maybe, so it's 443 points. That's the size of the font. So maybe I'll do 500. Oh, that's too much. Maybe 445 as, well, even that's kind of, maybe 440. That's not really making too much of a difference. Okay, 430. That's okay. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that was the right move. Maybe I should have kept it at, you know, the 2 lines. But really, if you think about it, this is going to be seen, this is going to be hung up on the side of buildings, potentially on campus. You know, so it needs to be something that you can see from a ways away. So we're kind of losing this shape in the background a little bit. I need to kind of make sure that that's working. This Cowan Hall picture is cropped here. That's not so wonderful, so I'll have to, you can kind of see that it's, there we go, that's a little bit better. So this shape is becoming a little bit of a problem. So I wonder if we couldn't somehow just minimize it slightly for the banner, because it is becoming an issue. Because it's just kind of in the way. It's not, I can't see any of my background, and it's, you know, it's just becoming an issue. So, I mean, I don't like that as well with it smushed down like that, but, and maybe this isn't going to work. Like maybe this 3-line thing is not, because this would probably have to be graphic on 1 line, design at, and MSU Northern is a pretty long, I mean, it could be MSUN, you know, like MSU. I don't even know if they're really technically calling themselves that anymore. I think I want to say they might be trying to get away from that. So that's another thing to consider. And then I would take this out, obviously. And, you know, maybe part of the solution for this would be, you know, let's move this whole thing down and crop it off, and then maybe make it a little bit bigger, which is probably not the best idea since it's low resolution at that size. Of course, we're totally getting rid of our diamond shape, but this might work. I don't know. Probably going to. You never really know until you try, I guess, with some of this stuff. So, maybe something like that. Of course, that's going to force me to potentially make this bigger, which might be okay, actually. I mean, maybe it doesn't really, in the banner, it might not really matter what's in the background, because honestly, you're not really going to be able to tell. There's enough picture here where I can just move it down without having to resize it. And obviously if I took the maroon background off of this, that would probably help it clean up the design a little bit. you know, for a web banner, obviously I wouldn't make the text this large because honestly, it doesn't look as good as if it was, you know, smaller. I'm trying to still find a way to like still fit this in. And maybe this is the, you know, you just have to come up with creative solutions. And so that might actually work okay that way, because this little line is going up into there and it's not exactly the same as the poster, but it's like, it's close enough to where you're going to see, you know, there's definitely strong resemblance between the two. So I guess I just better make sure that that's all centered and looking. Oops. I meant to grab the shape, the white shape. It's always been so problematic. Yeah, let's zoom out. I will drag it down a little bit more because our bleed is a little bit on the messy side, which might be something that we need to fix. Okay, well that's not bad. And then if we took the background off of this, I'm going to use the eyedropper tool again to make it the same size as and you know, like one thing I'm struggling with this is like graphic design at MSUN, study design under the big sky. Maybe we should just say study graphic design under the big sky, and then at MSUN. So like, okay, so this is kind of getting rid of the duality that we've been working with, which kind of bums me out, but I'm just not sure if it's working the other way that we have it. So maybe we can make this on 2 lines. And I guess I'll get rid of that because we don't need that on there. Banners don't always have. So, and then maybe we would just like center this a little bit more in this space. And so I wonder if I could just put this up. And now I'm really tempted to get just like a Big Sky Country photo and then have it in the background, and just have one photo instead of 2 different photos, because this mountain scene in this banner is really not translating. I mean, on the poster it worked pretty well, but on this it's just getting lost. I mean, the Cowan Hall picture is doing pretty well. And maybe we would just get the picture of like a prairie scene for this side, or maybe it would be the whole thing and get rid of Cowan Hall and the mountain scene. And that might help kind of clear up the design a little bit, because let's just try it. Probably gonna spell it wrong. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. There's an antelope. And that's actually a pretty big poster. That's probably not big enough for the banner. Obviously, you need a really large photo, but that's actually pretty big. This is big too. And there's a lot of sky in it, which would make a lot of sense because we're talking about the big sky. This is nice too. There's actually some decent prairie photos here. Oh, and this is on Wikipedia too, so that actually... And Badlands, oh, this is in South Dakota, but still, I mean, basically looks like Havre. So I think I'm gonna try and see what this is gonna look like. Okay, so I got my JPEG. I'm glad that worked, because sometimes when I click with this trackpad, it is a little tricky. So let's just do a Command A, Command C. I'm gonna do another layout. And then Option, Command, Shift V. And let's just see what this looks like. Delete this, push W. That actually looks pretty good like that. Command D, and it's on my desktop right now. Open. We'll have to change the color profile and all that stuff. That actually looks kind of good. So if we did use this, we're gonna have to. So one little slick thing that you can do is you can control click and then edit with, and then Photoshop, and it'll open up in Photoshop for you. And then I can just go image mode, CMYK, okay. And then I don't want to crop it, but Command L to get the levels, and I'm actually going to try and really kind of make these colors pop as much as possible, just so that it shows up really nicely underneath that screen of color. So Command Shift S, save as. We'll do a Photoshop document within our images folder and push save. And this is actually a pretty nice size. Option Command I. I mean, if we resize it, I guess it's not going to be big enough. 6x4 at 300 is a usable, size. Obviously, that's too small to use on this, but if I just try to make it as small as possible on here, I think, and if I line up that horizon line potentially with the line in that diamond, that might actually kind of help the design out a little bit. So yeah, I think that's looking pretty decent, honestly. And it's like with this design, I didn't realize I would have to do that much to get this to translate to a landscape. So as you can see, I had to do quite a bit to it to get it to work. And like obviously, this doesn't look too bad, really. I mean, I could do 2 different versions of it. This wasn't really working at all. I wasn't able to get my font as big as I wanted to, so I'm actually just going to click and drag this into the trash because I don't really want to save that. Push OK. The duality of this would be nice for like a web banner or like a Facebook ad, so I might actually keep that, but I'm gonna have to do Facebook ads in some of my other classes. So Command S, save everything. But I think obviously this is my #1 choice, so I'll put it as page 1. Page 2 is not bad. If we wanted two different designs, that could work. This could use, I'm just saving this because I might actually use this in like a web banner, a Facebook ad or something. This might actually come in handy for a different purpose. But for the banner, I think that this is going to work the best. It does bother me a little bit that this is coming into contact with the sky on here, but and the sea is kind of coming into contact with like this line, which it would be nice if I could kind of like space it so it was like that more, which maybe I should just try to do that, because I mean if it still looks centered to the eye, but like I am such a stickler for making sure that things are they're actually center. Some of that is bothering me because there's a lot of intersections here that are happening in the color and with the font that looks a little sloppy to me. And maybe there'd be a way to dial that in. I mean, I could go in here and start kerning, which is the space between letters. So I mean, this is actually kind of a big space here. I might be able to do Option and kind of bring that over. I could maybe do the same with this G and this R, and that might help with some of the overlap that we're getting. And that did help a little bit, but I don't want to overdo it because then sometimes you can kern things and it just ends up looking, oops, did not mean to do that. But I think that helped a little bit. If you overdo it, then you'll notice too. But anyway, and then this area is kind of bothering me, so we might have to address that in the next video.